Welcome to your Ragnarok recap. Whether you've played every single game since God of War came out on PlayStation, or whether God of War Ragnarok is your first game, I'm gonna fill you in on everything that you may have missed. Starting with the original trilogy, it is set in ancient Greece, and Kratos is a very angry lad and general of the Spartan armies. Why is he so angry, you might ask? Well, he was promised unforetold power by the God of War Ares, but he was kind of tricked into killing and slaughtering his wife and daughter in a village raid, so it's kind of understandable why he's a bit upset. The ashes of his wife and daughter are bound into Kratos' skin, which gives him that ashy blueberry doppelganger looking appearance, and also lends him the name the Ghost of Sparta. Throughout the first game, Kratos goes through a lot of trials and tribulations and gains the power to confront Ares and kill him, becoming the new God of War. In his newfound godhood, Kratos goes a little bit buck wild with the bloodshed and tends to piss off a lot of the other gods of the pantheon. Zeus pulls a tricksy little maneuver and stabs Kratos through the chest with the sword of Olympus. You may have noticed Kratos' cheeky little scar in the newer game. That is not the end for Kratos though. He is saved by Gaia, who recruits Kratos to assassinate Zeus once and for all. Sounds easy, right? Uncomplicated by feelings, but guess what? Zeus is actually Kratos' father. Cue the beginning of daddy issues. Regardless, Kratos goes on to carry out his mission and resolve these deep feelings about how but Athena throws herself into the mix and sacrifices herself to save Zeus, spoiling Kratos' plan. Where does Kratos go from here, you might ask? Well, Kratos just murders his way through the entirety of the Greek pantheon. God after god, Kratos hacks and slashes his way through almost all of them, leaving Greece to be an uninhabitable wasteland and ghost town, just like Kratos' heart. At the end of the trilogy, we see what is thought to be possibly his demise. Spoiler alert, the 2018 game makes that obviously not true. Cut to an unknown amount of years later, we now find Kratos looking a little bit older, living in Midgard. However many years have passed, it was long enough for Kratos to find another love and remarry a woman named Faye and have a son named Atreus. Now, Faye passes away shortly before the beginning of this game. The hole left behind by her loss is being slowly torn into a rift between father and son. At the beginning, Kratos gets a brilliant idea to exact revenge once again, this time on a tree. What was the tree's crime, you ask? Possibly it reminds him of his late wife Faye, as she marked it to be a protective ward around their home. And for good reason too, because after Kratos strikes down that tree, a mysterious stranger comes to visit them, and this stranger is none other than 𝕵𝖔𝖎r, the son of Odin. 𝕵𝖔𝖎r and Kratos engage in a WWE-worthy smackdown. It seems like Kratos wins after he snaps 𝕵𝖎r's neck. 𝕵𝖎r is unable to be killed because of a protective spell placed upon him by his mother, Freya. Kratos and Atreus don't pay too much mind to that though, as their main focus is getting to the highest peak in all of the realms and scattering Faye's ashes. Along the way, they meet some delightful characters, such as the Witch of the Woods, who is actually Freya just trying to be on the DL. They meet 𝕲𝖓𝖓𝖓, aka the World Serpent, who seems to recognize Atreus, and they meet the 𝕮𝖓𝖓 brothers, Brok and Sindri, who both seem to be at odds with each other. They're not on speaking terms, and they both think that they can amp up the Leviathan axe that Kratos uses better than the other brother. Now, as Kratos and Atreus make it almost to the top, to the peak, they're hindered by some thick smoke and they can't quite get through. So Freya hops in and assists them by sending them to Alfheim. She uses the Bifrost and Tyr's temple to send them to this other realm where they're able to make their way through and claim light arrows so that Atreus can light their way through the thick smoke. Freya is unable to come with them, however, as a curse was placed upon her by Odin, which binds her to Midgard. Regardless, the boys stir up more than enough trouble in Alfheim by themselves, actually tipping the scales in favor of the light elves instead of the dark elves, who have been warring factions in Alfheim for a long time. Cut back to the mountain peak, able to make their way through the smoke. Atreus and Kratos fight a lightning dragon and win, and they make it to the top of the peak where they overhear 𝕵𝖎r𝖓 talking with his nephews, 𝕵𝖚𝖕 and 𝕵𝖚. They're interrogating someone, but Kratos and Atreus stay hidden long enough for the Aesir gods to leave. After they do, they emerge to find the smartest man alive, aka Mimir.
Mimir's like my favorite. I love him.
Mimir tells the two boys that this is actually not the highest peak in all the realms, and that peak is actually in Jotunheim, the realm of the giants. But not to fear, Mimir will help them get ahead in their quest, as he asks Kratos to literally lop off his head since his body is stuck in a tree, and they do it. And Kratos takes Mimir's head back to Freya, who reanimates it so Mimir can help him in their journey. Mimir's first act in aiding Kratos and Atreus is immediately snitching on Freya, revealing her true identity to Kratos and Atreus as the queen of the Vanir gods. Now a trio, Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir all work together to find a way into Jotunheim. First stop is searching the carcass of an actual giant that's in Midgard for a special chisel so they can get deeper into the Temple of Tyr. Whilst doing so, they face off against 𝕾𝖵 and 𝕾𝖫, who are the nephews of Balder and the sons of Thor. During the fight, Kratos kills 𝕾𝖵, but 𝕾𝖫 escapes. After they get the chisel, they go back inside to Tyr's temple, where they are ambushed again by 𝕾𝖫, who is still really ticked off at losing his brother. His little temper tantrum, though, is overshadowed by the fact that Atreus collapses and nobody really knows what's wrong with him, so Mimir and Kratos take him back to Freya. After some thought and examination, they believe that Atreus' condition is caused by the fact that he is unaware of his true lineage and the fact that he is basically a god. To heal Atreus, Freya believes that Kratos needs to travel to Helheim and grab the heart of a guardian. Now, they think that the Leviathan axe that Kratos inherited from his late wife won't be a lot of use in Helheim, so Kratos returns to his home to uncover his classic Blades of Chaos, and in doing so also uncovers some of the horrific past attached to it, and Kratos has some visions of Athena and Zeus. In true dad fashion, he represses those emotions and goes headfirst and focuses on saving his boy. Kratos successfully makes it through Helheim, acquires the heart of that guardian, and revives Atreus back to consciousness and reveals to him his true nature, which Atreus immediately takes and runs with. He gets really cocky. He has a god complex. Literally. This newfound arrogance is exemplified especially when the group runs into 𝕾𝖫 again, and despite Kratos' protests, Atreus just stabs him to death because he thinks he can and has a right to do so. After that, the trio return to the top of the highest peak in Midgard to open that portal to Jotunheim. However, Balder shows up at the most inopportune time to sow chaos. In a large scuffle, the portal to Jotunheim is absolutely shattered beyond repair, and all four end up trapped in Helheim, where they battle their personal demons. Balder is dealing with some familial trauma, and Kratos also gets some visions of Zeus and has his own daddy issues be brought up a little bit. Kratos and Atreus manage to escape Helheim by a flying boat. With nearly all of their options exhausted, Mimir tells Kratos that their best option to get to Jotunheim is by reclaiming his Bifrost eye, which was hidden in a statue and swallowed by Jormungandr at the beginning of the game. So they take their little paddle boat and try to paddle on into the serpent's mouth, but once again, Balder shows up to foil their freaking plans. This is where the huge battle with Balder takes place. During this battle, they learn of his one weakness: mistletoe. Specifically, a mistletoe-tipped arrow that Atreus got earlier in the game. Balder is pierced with this arrow. The protection spell that Freya placed upon him breaks, and Balder is able to be killed. The stakes are raised, and Freya is desperate to defend Balder, even though he tries to kill her. This woman is literally ready to give up her life and let Balder kill her if that's what will make him happy. But Kratos steps in and is like, frick that, and snaps Balder out of this rage by snapping his neck. Instead of being thankful that she's still alive, Freya is absolutely distraught and vows to seek vengeance against Kratos and Atreus for killing her son. The two leave behind the very, very sad scene and make their way back to a newly revamped Tyr's temple. Using Mimir's special eyes, they're able to open a portal to Jotunheim. In a beautiful, beautiful scene, Kratos and Atreus travel up to the highest peak in Jotunheim to spread 𝕋's ashes. On their journey to the top, they learn a lot. For one, all of the giants are dead, and 𝕋 was actually a giant named 𝕬𝕐. They also learned that Atreus has a giant name as well, and it's Loki. Kratos also receives visions of a prophecy that foretell his death will come with Ragnarok, which he definitely obviously hides from Atreus. After a very heartwarming scene of Atreus and Kratos spreading 𝕋's ashes from the peak, the father and son return to Midgard, where they see the beginnings of Ragnarok have already started. Heralded by Fimbulwinter, which is a never-ending huge blizzard, Ragnarok was triggered by the death of Baldur, which coincidentally also triggers a very, very angry-looking Thor showing up at the end of the game. And there you have it. You're all caught up and ready to play God of War Ragnarok. Be sure to hang out with me some more and catch up on my playthrough right here on this channel. I do gaming content and reaction content on YouTube, as well as live stream over on Twitch, and do cosplay and various other things on my socials. That's it for me, and I'll see you in Midgard.